Hey guys, I'm HyDE. I have a replay here from a Protoss player named HyDE. He was asking about holding a Zerg attack that basically killed him, and I wanted to look at this replay and see what he did that he could have done better, and figure out how to read what is coming and how to defend it. So we're going to jump straight in, and we're going to jump to ×4 here for a minute. It's going to pylon scout, starting his gateway right on time. A little bit delayed on that chrono boost, not a big deal. So he's pylon scouts, and that's fine. He gets in here, sees no natural base, pokes up, sees this pool started already. Started on 16, give or take, based on how much it has constructed. But he's going to scout and see there is no gas taken. It's a pretty big deal. He's going to poke back into the natural, sees the hatch came down, so it's just a gasless pool first, generally defensive. So he's not going to change his build order, which is good. Going to go ahead and get that Nexus on 19, which is fine. Getting that Cyber Core on 19, which is also fine, honestly. It's not a huge deal. I don't like that he also gets his gas on 19, because he is delaying some probe production here, and he is sitting on a pretty good amount of Nexus energy that could help him catch that up. But the more important thing is what he's going to scout here. He's going to go run around the natural, but he's going to go up here. He's going to try to go around the mineral line. And if you're looking very specifically for a roach follow-up to a gas-first pool opener, that's fine, but you have to look at gases before you dive back there. So your scout path looks like I'm going to go here next to the pool, see if it's wiggling, because ling speed should be on the way. If he took that gas after that natural, so you want to make sure he is getting ling speed and not committing to a roach one, for example, or an evo chamber for upgrades. And if you don't see a gas here, then you click over here and you see a gas. If you see no gas, then you don't even have to look for a roach one, because there is no way on earth a Zerg player is going to make roaches without gas. It's actually impossible. But what ends up happening is he doesn't ever really get a good piece of information here. When we go back into the base here, he gets attacked. He loses it. He doesn't even know what killed it. It was actually a queen here. This queen, there's actually no units out right now. The lings are only just about to pop. So this is definitely, I want to make sure I'm not getting cannon rush, so I'm going pool first build. The problem is, he doesn't know that ling speed is on the way, and he doesn't know that there are still 3 drones mining gas. He very easily could have come here first, get that information, and say, okay, so not only do you have ling speed on the way, you're still mining gas, which means you're doing something cheeky. Or it means you're probably doing something cheeky. Honestly, I don't know exactly what the level of the Zerg player is. So it could just be he's not really used to pulling off gas, which, again, it's not the worst thing ever. But if he has pulled off gas, that does eliminate some options, which would include roaches, which is the concern that HyDE had when he died to it. So anyway, without scouting any units coming across the map, he makes this Zealot. And this Zealot isn't really going to do him a lot of good. He's reacting to what he thinks is probably an all-in very early, but he's not doing it with any scouting. If you see Zerglings with your probe on the other side of the map, absolutely, go ahead and make that Zealot. You can chrono the Zealot out before the Zerglings get here, because they're not going to have speed that early. If you don't see Zerglings, chrono an Adept first out of this gateway and send it straight across the map while you make another unit. The first Adept has to get over here and see what the drone count is on this natural base. Now, of course, this was a pool first. You don't know exactly what you're dealing with, so obviously if it is a gas first with a pool, sending your Adept is probably a one-way trip. It's currently 235. If this was a gas pool hatch, ling speed would finish about 3 minutes. Off a regularly timed hatch gas pool, ling speed finishes about 3 minutes and 25 to 3 minutes and 30, depending on how quickly they saturated that gas. So you still have time to get over here, shade into that mineral line, look at a drone count, look for additional structures. The other alternative, and that is what you go for now, is going to be this sentry here. I feel like, though, the sentry needs to be your first unit if you're going to use the sentry to scout, because you absolutely have to know what you're dealing with, and you're just really playing super defensive here. If you are going to play defensive, I would go ahead and just commit to a shield battery, because that way they're not going to have an easy time breaking you. So the first tech structure is actually a robotics facility, a very unusual opener, and it's definitely the intention was to hide it back here, no pun intended, so that it wouldn't be scouted by a normal overlord. However, Tenno is getting overlord speed, so this full scout is not going to be an issue whatsoever. Now we do see a stalker in production, which will allow, it's actually 2 stalkers in production, which will allow definite denial of a normally timed scout, which would just include a slow overlord poking in from wherever. But again, because of overlord speed, Tenno is going to know exactly what is going on. That these overlords, rather the overlord is going to poke in from a different direction. Here's another thing I'm not sure about. So he starts a robotics bay and then cancels it immediately. I'm assuming that he meant to build something else that's not a robotics bay, because if you notice here, on the minimap you see this overlord flying in, but his camera's not here. So the odds of him canceling it so it wouldn't get scouted are very slim. The downside is he doesn't start any other tech until nearly 6 minutes, so it's just a robotics facility. The other thing we're going to notice is he just starts building some gateways here, and he's going to whip in a bunch of stalkers. And I don't know why. Sends the observer across the map, and sends the hallucinated scout here in just a moment. Remember, hallucinated scouts are 75 energy now, so if we were to back up, currently 4:30, if we just back up to about the 4-minute mark, this sentry already has 91 energy, so you could have sent that hallucination out now. Let's see what time this hallucination could have gone out. 3 minutes and 39 seconds. There's 76 energy, which means you can hallucinate scout now, which is nearly a minute before you actually do. So we're going to go back up to that 4:28 where we were. And we're going to look at what you see. So, chronoing probes, building the gas, a single gas here. So it looks like he kind of wants to go into blink, getting that 3rd gas, which is a little awkward, especially considering he does not have a Twilight Council or a Forge. Now this hallucination did a couple things here. First, he saw there were no drones at all on this 3rd base. There's also no queen. He's going to poke in here. He sees 2 gases. He does click the Roach Warren, so this is a big deal. He clicks that building, so he knows it's a Roach Warren. This is not, in and of itself, a tell that anything is weird. So he flies in, he sees the layer morphing, he sees 4 gases being mined, and no drones on that base. So he's like, okay, so why are you mining so much gas? Or at least that's what should be on his mind. So he's going to go try to take his 3rd base. Whenever you take a 3rd base, always send some units here to clear it. You're sending out a probe. You have 6 stalkers for some odd reason in your natural base, and you have nothing coming to secure that probe. So what's going to end up happening is your 3rd base is going to get delayed by this Zergling. You get the 2 pylons up, but it takes you 18 seconds to start this base after it gets denied. And I know this number exactly because your pylon's complete when that base starts. Finished base, finished pylon, started base. So always send some units down here. Ideally, you'll send adepts because you can shade them through your wall without having to unblock it, so you can get down there and clean it up. We'll talk about these stalkers in a little bit because this is something that causes an issue. Now, you've overqueued probes, which means you're not spending your money other places. You're also in the process of building immortals one at a time, which is fine. But you're starting your next tech structures, your Twilight and your Forge, at almost 6 minutes. Ideally, you already have charge and +1 because you haven't committed any gas to harassment. So your economy is not exactly roaring. You've only just started your 3rd base, and your entire tech structure is something making immortals. You don't even have a high sentry count. You literally have the 1 sentry. So if you get attacked by anything, this is almost worst case scenario. Zerglings actually destroy this army. They just surround it and eat it alive. As you're going to see in a minute, roaches also eat this army alive. So you come over here, you're going to get some extra production, which is cool. You kill an overlord that you found, but when's the last time you checked your observer? That's over on the other side of the map. We're going to go ahead and do that now. You see a bunch of roaches here. That's a good deal of roaches. That's I would say, a decent number for early defense. So, not the scariest thing, but we're going to check that again in just a moment. So you're still just doing stuff. You're about to start your upgrades, but this is the part where we go back and look, and now we see 17 roaches, and he's morphing Ravagers, which means he's probably getting ready to attack me. So with this information, you should be able to start shield batteries at your third base, pump some additional units into additional chrono boosts, which you have quite a few of. It's actually 3 chrono boosts there. Almost 3 chrono boosts there, and you're about to have one when this finishes, into immortal production. You currently have 2 immortals, and you opened robotics facility. So you theoretically could have like 5 right now, and that would be a really good number to have versus an attack. You're also doing okay supply-wise. Your production's just coming up online. You've got a lot of gas that you can't really spend. So you start another immortal. You do just see that. You're like, this is when the panic sets in. You just saw this army. You see it moving out now, which means this is the first you know that you're about to get attacked. And your army is not great. So we're going to see the response. You're getting the Templar Archives, gives a good way to spend that gas. You're getting additional gas, you need to be getting units, you need to be getting shield batteries. You are going to start those shield batteries, but this is a good 20 seconds after you saw the move out. So we need to really be getting into high gear. You've got some sentries coming, your immortal production has stalled, you've got just the 3, you're warping in some units, and you're about to take the worst fight of your life. You're coming down here to the low ground, where your army can get surrounded. You don't see the army coming. The army is now on top of your army, and you just saw it. He has a large concave. He's hitting your immortals with biles, and he's just going to dive on top of your stuff. The thing about stalkers is they can kite all day, but they can't outrun roaches with speed very easily. So, because you have stalkers with no blink, you're actually in almost the worst case scenario. You don't have force fields to keep back these roaches. You could have, if you fought them here, you could bait him to come towards you. You could cut some of the army off with force fields, take a little bit better of a fight. If you have zealots, they keep the roaches from just diving on your units, because the zealots, even without upgrades, your zealots are going to be walking into them and just kind of body blocking by nature of they're just standing there meleeing and they're not trying to kite away. So then your immortals can go to town on some of these roaches. As it is, there's nothing to cushion these units here. He's just going to focus fire down these units, and suddenly you're just kind of dead. You whip in some zealots now, but then they can't engage. He's going to deep power a pylon. He knocks down your other immortal that was kind of just rallied in here. He's just sort of kind of A-moving. He's floating a ton because he's not macroing whatsoever. He's got upgrades on the way. He's got a Lurkerton on the way. And he's just going to kind of kill you here with the stuff that he has, because you didn't have production, you didn't have scouting, and your tech was delayed for I have no idea why. It's going to take another minute for you to actually die, but you can actually beat his army. Another thing I noticed is you set your hotkeys, your camera hotkeys at the beginning of this game. I think you've used them 4 times. That's just a random guess. I don't actually know what the number is, but you're not exactly using your camera hotkeys right now as you scroll around panicked. And now you're kind of all in. You've got your charge, you've got your +1, and you've got no probes. So you're going to just kind of move your army across the map without looking at them. You're going to kill some units here, which honestly is still pretty good. But now he's going to have Hydralisks, and Hydras actually dump on Stalkers, which is another good reason that you don't really want to have Stalkers as your main army composition. So if you're going to open Robo, that's fine. But you need to get that first adept across the map to scout. You need to have that probe looking for gas counts, see if he's still mining gas. Figure out what he's going to try to spend that gas on. Obviously, if you're scouting around the base at 2 minutes 30, you're looking for a Roach Warren for like a 19 drone all-in. 19 drone Roach Ravager Ling all-in. But because he was opening gasless, that is not what you're likely to face. So you've got to check that gas count. See if he took double gas behind it without looking. You jump in there, check the gas next to the pool, then you check the other gas. See how many he's mining out. A geyser starts with 2,250 gas. If he's mined out 100 gas, it would say 2,150. That gives you an idea of how much he mined before he pulled off it. You can see the spawning pool if it's wiggling. Your hallucination scout needs to come out as soon as you have 75 energy. And if you're anticipating a roach attack, you want sentries, immortals, and some zealots. A couple stalkers won't hurt, but you've got to have a zealot buffer. You can spend the gas on your sentries. So instead of having 6 stalkers, you have 3 sentries and 10 zealots, give or take, because you're not spending that minerals. So you can build a significantly stronger army in a much shorter amount of time. The next thing is your tech. You've got to get your tech down at a reasonable time. The Twilight and Forge could have come out a lot sooner if you were not warping in Stalkers that early. You should be burning your Chrono Boosts on your upgrades, on Immortal production, on probes. Just spend your Chrono Boost energy. It is absolutely useless sitting on a Nexus. Chronoing anything is better than chronoing nothing. And then also, when you go to take your third base, make sure you send a couple of Adepts to secure it, kill the Ling, so you can get your third base up when you want it to be up. Get your pylon started as well so you don't get supply blocked. You did get a little bit of supply block trying to take this base because the pylon didn't start when you wanted it to, and that is actually why you had that issue, because the Nexus couldn't finish for you to have the supply from it. So I do hope this helps. Sorry if I tore into you a little bit, but I just wanted to show you the things that I think you could have done better. Hopefully this does help you. Let me know for sure if it does. Have an awesome night.